नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. So welcome everyone for today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. So today we will be reading and discussing from Canto 2, Chapter 10, text number 20. So this chapter is titled as Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam is answers to all the questions. Naishike nira vidyetam dhotu yati nabasvati tatra vayurgandavaho गृहणो नसि जिघृक्षता नैशिके निराविद्येतं धोतुयति नाभस्वति तत्र वायुर्गन्तवाहो गृहाणो नसि जिघृक्षता. Synonyms: Naisike, in the nostrils. Nirabidyedam, being developed. Dotu yati, rapidly blowing. Nabaswati, air respiration. Tatra, thereupon. Vayuhu, air. Gandhavaha, smelling odor. Grihanaha, the sense of smell. Nasi, in the nose. Jighriksata, desiring to smell odors. Translation: Thereafter, when the Supreme Purusha desired to smell odors, the nostrils and respirations were generated. The nasal instrument and odors came into existence, and the controlling deity of air carrying smell also became manifested. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The nasal instrument, odor, and the controlling deity of air, smelling, etc., all became manifested simultaneously when the Lord desired to smell. The Vedic mantras confirm this statement in the Upanishads. Statement that everything is first desired by the Supreme before the subordinate living entity can act upon it. The living entity can see only when the Lord sees. The living entity can smell when the Lord smells, and so on. The idea is that the living entity cannot do anything independently. He can simply think of doing something independently, but he cannot act independently. This independence in thinking is there by the grace of the Lord, but the thinking can be given shape by the grace of the Lord. And therefore, the common saying is that man proposes and God disposes. The whole explanation is on the subject of the absolute independence of the living entities and the absolute independence of the Supreme Lord. Less intelligent persons claiming to be on an equal level with God must first prove themselves to be absolute and independent, and then they must substantiate their claim to being one with God. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sabitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kata Mahyam Tadati Swapatantikam. Namo Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Hiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshadharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim yat kripatam aham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam Paramananda Madram Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmalaspatikakritam Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrivam Pasme. So Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for giving me an opportunity to read and discuss with you on this verse 2, 10, 20. I seek the blessings of all assembled devotees here so that I can speak something meaningful for the pleasure of my spiritual master, our deity Shri Nitai Gaurachandra. So here in this verse, it is said that the Supreme Lord is desiring to smell odors. And as a result of his desire, the nostrils, respirations, and the deity for carrying the smell, the deity to control the air. Okay, so the demigod to control the air. Why? Because the air is the one which is carrying the smell from one place to other. So air is subtle, that we cannot see it, we can experience it. But so all these things are mystically manifesting, because the Lord is having the desire to smell the odors. But what does it mean? What does it mean to us? Here is, we understand the Lord is unlimited. Okay, he doesn't need any of these things. If he desire to smell something, he can. He has multiple ways to accomplish that. He certainly, because we hear from Brahma Samhita, Angani yasa sagalendriya vrittimanti. So sagalendriya. So all his limbs, with any of his limbs, he can do any of the activity. So when we offer Bhoga to the Supreme Lord, it is not necessarily that he has to accept through his tongue or accept through his mouth. Even by seeing the Bhoga, that is accepted. So Sakalendriya. So he can use any of these things. So we understand that. But why is still the Lord desiring to smell the odors? So here Srila Prabhupada is saying that the Lord, the Supreme Personality of God, Shri Krishna, is desiring, he understands the needs of the living entity in advance, because we as a living entity, somehow or other, we came with an idea that there is a separate enjoyment other than Krishna, and we took the decision, we took the choice to be in a separate world, and that's why we are here. So when we took the decision, the Lord is thinking that, because the Lord is controlled by the small free will, the small independence that is been given to us. I mean, in the sense, like, he doesn't interfere in those things, but still he is a Supreme Father, a very loving and caring Father. The relationship is so wonderful. So he thinks, okay, for us to breathe, for us to get the perception through smell, or to smell the odors, we need the nostrils. And for this functionality in the creation, so there needs to be a controlling deity. Air should be there, and air should help to move the smell or the odor from one place to other. All these things is being carried out in the process of a creation, and he is doing that just for the sake, for his desire. It is not required. Supreme Lord can accomplish anything by any means. So the Lord is so careful in doing this arrangement. Is for the purpose of the living entity in the material world. So it is similar to when our kids go to field trip. or any camp, though you may say that the weather is not good, it's, as a parent, we may say this, but still, sometimes the kids say, no, I want to do this because some other will be doing it, or some, we follow others, or there will be some influence. And out of thing, we will also say that, okay, we will also agree to that. But our mind will be always how the kid is managing in the camp, whether he has taken the winter jacket, or this is or this there an emergency lamp, or the camp necessities are done properly. More than the kid, whatever on its planning and thinking, as a parent, we will be doing all these things, and our mind will be always in the camp until the kid comes back home. So in a mundane sense, when we carry that sort of a thought, and when we try to do some arrangement, the Supreme and the loving Father, Krishna, he has sent us. Because we also did the same thing. Like we thought that there is a separate place that is where we can enjoy, and we took the decision. We didn't hear the right guidance and advice, and as a result, we are here. But the Lord is constantly thinking and trying to arrange something so that we don't suffer. But the nature of this place, that where we are here, it's not a pleasant. Only when we go there and when we see, we call this as a learned experience, right? In our mundane language, this is called learned experience. Until when we hear or someone says about their experience, we don't really get it. Only when we experience that through our own sense perception, things will be more clear and evident. So that is what it is. We are here and we are thinking in this material world, this is not good, that is not good, this person is not being good with me, he is so mean, this problem, that problem. There are so many things that is constantly bothering us. But there is a fundamental problem. That problem is avidya. We are in absolute ignorance. And we are acting like we are in a position to do everything, and we are the one who is controlling all these things. We think that we are independent, but the reality is not that. The reality is we are in total ignorance. And as a result of this, there's a common saying that man proposes, God disposes. We have the ability, as Krishna has given a small independence, okay, so we can act. But we think that we are doing everything independently, and that we don't really understand, even that we are thinking, we have the capability to think, but we cannot act independently on our own. Just by thinking, right? I can sit here and think about all my desires, that I want this, I want that. But just by my thinking, nothing is happening. Let's see progressively. Okay, I have a thought that came in my mind. I'm thinking about that thought. That is not enough. So I have to do some action. So I need to put some effort into that. Even after putting some effort, the success of my desire is dependent on some other thing, the higher nature, which is the Supreme. So Krishna, the Supreme Personality of a God, he has to approve, he has to sanction the desire. Otherwise, nothing is going to be successful. Like whatever that I'm thinking, nothing is going to be manifested into reality. So there are, which means that I cannot act independently on it. Only thing I can think about something, but thinking is not the final output. And what I think also makes a difference. So Krishna says, this whole world, everything is acted based on lust. Jesus Christ also says that everything is acting based on lust. So that is true. In Srila Prabhupada, in his lecture, he talks about, he shows a big skyscrapers building and says that, what is this? And then it says, it's a manifestation of man's lust towards a woman. So, I mean, man is doing a lot of things in this world, like just to attract the other side. So, lot of work has been taken care, a lot of desire and work. Even in that case, big buildings, malls, and all those things to manifest, it requires approval from Krishna, the Supreme, to manifest. And that is required, whether it is we cannot say that I can be in a place like there is no desire, or I am desireless, like Ramananda Mataji was saying, that is not possible. So everything is based on the action. When you see the previous state before any action, that will be a thought, and the thought leads to action. So there are so many thoughts that will that the mind manipulates and develops, and the desire is the source for all those thoughts. Like that is the one which we are going to talk about a little bit. So in Kali Yuga, right? So everything, so Kali Yuga is mainly about what we can experience is mainly about Artha and Kama. So Artha means economic development, and Kama, sense enjoyment, sense gratification. So it's all about Artha. So it's a Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So there is no interest in Dharma, religiosity, or Moksha, liberation. And Krishna, knowing about our desire, he will give only about the two things, which is about Artha and Kama. So this is what you are asking for it. This is what you are doing it. Okay. And if you go and say to Krishna, I don't have time. Sorry, Krishna, I don't have time. Krishna will say, take more time and come. So that is our problem. We cannot go in front of Krishna and say that I don't have time. That is a brutal mistake if we really go and do like that. So your interest is only around the factor about the Artha and Kama. Everyone needs economic development. There is no way that we cannot say that, I don't need economic development. Yes, but it should be that desire for economic development and Kama, right? Sense gratification, that needs to be corrected, and that needs to be guided. There should be a guided process for that. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bhagavad Gita is a wisdom book. It's about it's a book of knowledge, right? So Krishna says about the hierarchy. So the senses, and above the senses is the mind, and above the mind is the intelligence, and above the intelligence is the soul, and above the soul is the super soul. So this is the hierarchy. So when the senses, when the desires, so the mind should be above our desires, and above the mind should be the intelligence. But most of the time, the intelligence is being trumped by the other factors, the mind and the senses. So what is happening is, we become subordinate to our desires. We don't really control it. Our intelligence, which has the discriminatory capability, is totally failing. Like we do everything, but when everything is in order, when we act based on the intelligence, and the intelligence is being controlled by the soul, and when the soul and the supreme soul or the super soul are in alignment, that is the perfect hierarchical order. That is the perfect thing. So when the soul is a pleasure seeking in nature, so the soul always is ananda. The soul seeks the pleasure, right? So when the soul is aligned with the super soul, so that is spiritual. So that is a spiritual pleasure. When we act through the guided process, when we act, when we are in connected, the spiritual energy manifests, and our actions are purified, and our thoughts are in the right channel. So we will be in a position to engage in spiritual activities, and as a result, an outcome of that action, the soul delivers the spiritual pleasure. The soul, as in the contaminated state, like we are always on the edge. Either this side is the spiritual or the other side is the material. When we fall into material thing, like we also perform an action, so there is a cut between the alignment between the soul and the spiritual soul. And as a result, our action could have any consequences. So not necessarily a guided, and we will be in a position to do something, and then that we are responsible for our consequences of what we do. So speaking about desires, which is the root cause of all these things. So desires means most of the time desires are not our own desires. That is very true. We don't know how to desire, and we are injected, we are influenced, we inherit the desires from others. As soon as the child is born, okay, the only thing the child says is when the child give goo goo gaga, this sort of thing. And after that, everything is being trained. How to think, how to speak, how to respond, everything is being taught. And similarly, what should be your desire? Because none of the thing like the desires are being influenced. What should you study? What should you do? Everything is being influenced. We know that in our daily life. So everything is being influenced, and we carry, okay, this is how I have to be. That is one channel of getting the desires, not the guided desires. We're not talking about someone giving Divya Gyan. That's not what we are talking about. This is the mundane things. That is getting us a platform for us right from the birth. And the second thing, as we grow up, when we are sitting in front of the TV, it is not only for the babies. It's not only for the toddlers. It is even for the adults, even at this age. When we watch anything, and especially the TV being such a powerful medium for our desire management, it is guiding. This is how you have to be. If you are not investing here, then you are lost. You are totally gone. So that sort of guidance, that is what we are doing. So that's why it's called the one eye guru. TV is called the one eye guru, and it is the one which is giving that sort of that is training, so that we go and think, oh my God, this is something that I have to do, that otherwise I'm missing something. So we try to go and get into that path. Another end is the Google in our today's trend, like so that is there. Yesterday I had an opportunity to meet someone who is into the financial path, financial management path. So he was explaining me like Excel, and then he was showing me the numbers. Excel can go into any, you can put any numbers, right? So the age, from my age all the way, he went all the way from 96, 97 until 100. And then I have to work till 70, 75. It's a retirement planning. That was mind-boggling. So when I will come back, I can come out of this. But because that I'm being there is a mercy from the devotee who is giving the knowledge, because we understand we are not the controller. At least theoretically we understand I'm not the controller. But someone without that will totally buy that, because it is influence of a desire. Someone is putting it on us, and we plan our life in that fashion. So this is what the desires that will carry away. It has a very strong thing. The desires, one, it will create a lot of stress that we can experience it. And the second thing, the desires, right? So it leads our next life. It leads the next destination. Desires defines our next destination. So we had to be very careful about that, because our next destination, what we live in this life is the input for our next life. So that is going to be the outcome in our next life. So we had to be very careful about that. We cannot say that I don't need anything. We use everything, okay? But we are guided by the principle of Yukta Vairagya. We use this laptop, we use the table, chair, computers, everything. But everything you use for the spiritual side. We purify our desires. We get the knowledge how to do that in the association of our devotees. And by the grace of the pure devotees, our desires are getting purified. We cannot be in the state of desireless. We cannot artificially act, but we have the opportunity to align with our higher energy, which is the super soul. And we have that opportunity. So we can, as it is stated, that man proposes, God disposes. We are always dependent on the disposal of the God. There is no way we cannot avoid this. So aligning our desires in the mission of Srila Prabhupada, in the mission of a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's very, very important. In other words, aligning our desires in the mission of Krishna consciousness is a constant activity. So we have to be a listener, right? Always we have to listen about our desires. We have, if you take a look inside you, you will be seeing that it's like a computer. Everything like you can, everything is registered. Mind is like a computer, and impressions get registered, and you have to scan it and see how is my desires, what are my desires, and what way I'm doing this. This is not just one-time activity. You have to listen to what is happening, and you have to streamline this. There will be failures. Absolutely, there will be failures. Nothing will go in a perfect world, but there is an opportunity to channel. Even if we slip and if we fail, Krishna is so kind. And he is helping us. He is giving his hands. Remember the analogy, like how the camp or the field trip, when our children go, and we always think about that, there is always a constant companion, and he is always giving us a hand for us to, like, it's like the baby steps, and we're trying to make it steps, it will fail, it will like it will cry, but it'll again do this. It's not that one time activity. So it is how we should be. Enthusiasm is very much required, and we take the enthusiasm from a people who is around, like Rupa Goswami says about utsaha nishya dhairya, right? Tat karma pravartanat. So which is very important. I mean, like, we have to take enthusiasm, and we also need to have patience in this one. And when we follow the 4 regulative principles, which are our boundaries, right? When we take that seriously, nothing else is required. It's like antivirus that is being installed. Krishna, I mean, like Srila Prabhupada is so, so meticulously planned, orchestrated, and given this. We just need to be an application. We just need to consume that. Everything is done. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead has given all the smells and all those things, nostrils, he has arranged everything. And Srila Prabhupada, he came. And he has given the 4 regulative principles for us to be in this, to act in a very guided process, and for us to we have taken the decision, and he is present in this book, and he is guiding us in this. The only thing which is, we have to take this process, and we have to theoretically and practically act in a way that this Krishna consciousness is all auspiciousness. When we say it's all auspiciousness, it is for everyone. It is not sectarian. It is not for one person. It works for one person here, and it is not for others. It is not that kind of a subject. It is a subject that it is very practical. It is very enjoyable. But we have to be in the framework, which will definitely, as we all can relish. Otherwise, we will not be coming and sitting in our big day morning, 8 o'clock, and we will not be doing all these things. We have a natural taste. That taste is coming because of the mercy. It is because of the orchestration that is being given by others, by the pure devotees, by the by the pure devotees and by the Supreme Lord's arrangement. That's why we are in a position to relish. And it is so true that Srimad Bhagavatam is the answer for all our questions. Thank you very much for providing me an opportunity. It's 8 o'clock, 8:01. And if there are any discussions, please let's make use of this time. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Thank you very much for the wonderful class. I just have one question, Prabhuji, that when you were talking about the analogy of the child being sent to a summer camp or something, and we anticipate some things he may need. So we are providing the raincoat or the jacket or whatever. So in that way, the Lord is providing us with our senses and our respiratory everything. But then when we think of the that we are built in His image. That is, man is built in the image of God. So then that analogy, I mean, this is there all in his body, even though his each and every sense is capable of executing the function of any other sense. But his transcendental body has all these senses, and he is he is making us in our image, so we also have all this. So I was having a little bit thinking. I was doing a little bit thinking there that the supreme desire to smell. So all these the nasal nose and the air, deity of the air, and everything follows.
Correct.
So similarly, so that is for in our for the living entity also. So I feel it's all like what is in the Lord's image is translating into the little, or the jiva soul's outfit also, or the body, and thinking like that.
Yes, Mataji, that is correct. So everything has a purpose, right? When the God has created everything, the intention and it is for an intended purpose. But whether in our conditioned state or in my conditioned state, I may not be using for the exact intended purpose. So if you see the smell, like the Lord has created the nostrils, air, and all those things, and it is for our use, right? And how the smell has transformed someone. If you see the four Kumaras, when they came to the Vaikuntha planet, and while they were waiting on the doorsteps, they got the smell of the tulsi leaves and they got liberated.
Yes.
So that was, I mean, like, that was a wonderful thing. Like, that's an exemplary thing. But in our cases, I mean, the intent is there. And that how much we are in a position to accept the intent and make use of that is, it's not the proper use of the image what you're talking about in our conditioned state. But there's an opportunity when we take when we are guided, and when we understand everything has a purpose, and that's how our action should be aligned, and our desires and our action should be streamlined towards the intended purpose. Then it becomes then there is the connection and alignment with the super soul.
Okay.
That's my understanding, Mataji.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Sachisutta Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Classes are always in high clarity and complete analogy with computer technology, which is thank you, thank you very much, Prabhu. I was thinking about sometimes we do this selective hearing, right? When children are talking or wife is talking, sometimes it is selective hearing, right? Sorry, I did not hear. So based on our discussion with what Sandhya Mataji was thinking, because as you rightly said, condition state, I was thinking, even though the smell is available everywhere, we have a selective smelling also and selective hearing also. That means we are not channelizing our, even though there is a mercy, everything is available. We are not tuning into the particular channel. Prabhupada Maharaj always say, right? We are not tuning in. Correct. So basically, whether you are smelling or tasting or hearing, we are not really channelizing our tuning our channel. Correct. And I think that is where the condition state means. So for that, you also concluded the class by saying Bhagavatam is the answer for everything. So I was in that perspective, I was thinking the Narada Muni says in the Haryashvas, when Prachetas, they went to meditate, and they come back, and not meditation. They were actually the Prajapati created them 10,000, 20,000, and they were Haryashvas. They were supposed to go, progress in progeny, but Narada Muni comes and says, "No, why are you wasting time with this progeny? And don't get into that." So main thing is, there are only three things we need to understand in life. One is the mercy of the Lord. The second is the renunciation. The third thing is the right perspective on what we are thinking about. Correct. So if I really look at it, that is why there is a spiritual master or a sadhu like Srila Prabhupada or any sadhu for that matter. He is the one who even guides us in spite of having Srimad Bhagavatam. We may not know even what to read in Srimad Bhagavatam. Even if you read, there is tons of 18,000 verses. How can you remember and understand anything anyway? So that is why the sadhu sangha or the sadhu is important for us. That is why for a less intelligent person like me, the Puranas are very important for as a story form. And then the way you explain, giving an analogies of the modern day technology, which is really helpful for me, as most of our computer professionals, and it's definitely helping me to understand. Otherwise, we cannot relate to day-to-day activities. So anyway, I thought of bringing that point, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
You touched base on a lot of things. Like I was only going on computer science, and you went on cognitive psychology. So, which is
I don't know what does that mean.
So, Prabhu, like you are talking about selective attention, undivided attention, right? We are. Prabhupada Swami Maharaj will always talk about filtering consciousness, right? When we filter and we only take whatever that is necessary for us. So that is the filtering mentality about it. And that is true, Prabhu. Like we are conditioned and we are not always tuned for the rapt attention. Like our attention is always distributed. We call that as a skill in modern days called multitasking. And but that I don't really see that as a strength. One process at a time, and that is efficient to do things better. So in that aspect, whatever you are saying is true. Like the filtering mentality, and that is why things are not going very well inside, and we learn the position to receive it. So that is a difference that between the mundane and the scriptural language through the descending mercy. Like in our mundane thing, it's all about ascending, right? I can do by myself. I can handle by myself. So the scripture is based on descending mercy. I am nothing. So we are being formatted. We are being set in a state of. We are actually asked to act in a state of a humble state, which means I am nothing, and then everything is dependent upon the descending mercy. So Srila Prabhupada says, I think it was in Poland, Prabhu. At that time, there was a lot of economic crisis, and communists were ruling and managing the show at that time. So a group of people were all praying. So the communist group came to those people and asked, "What are you doing?" So we are praying for our daily bread. Okay, go to the church and pray to God for your daily bread. So these people were sent to pray to the God. They prayed for a few minutes and they came back. And then these communist people were asking and saying, did you got your bread? No, we didn't get our bread, but you made the prayers. Yes, we did the prayers, but we didn't get the bread. And then the communists forced those people, set of people to ask, now you pray to us. Because and these people, they were literally praying, oh, my communist friend, please give us a daily bread. And these people were having loads of bread in the truck, and they distributed the bread to those people who are in need, and then said, who is higher? And Srila Prabhupada, in his lecture, he will say that if I were there, I will say that, you rascals, who is giving you the bread? The bread maybe is that you are distributing with your hands. Who is giving the rain? Who is giving the grain? You have no idea. So it is always on the descending mercy. That knowledge will come only in the association. Otherwise, as you rightly said, we have so many books, we have so many tutorials. We read this from page 1 to page end, and we also get a certification. That is not giving the comprehensive knowledge. That is not giving the right thing that we have to act. The outcome of that knowledge is very restricted. So only in the association and only in the depending factor, the descending mercy, everything, at least to some extent, we are in a position to understand. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Sacisuta Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept mine too.
Yeah, Prabhuji, wonderful class and wonderful discussions from Sandhya Mataji and Balram Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna. If there are no more discussion, I don't want to steal most of your time. Thank you very much. Thank you for providing the opportunity. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu bevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.